Got a Princeton Reverb reissue here, the 65 reissue, and the owner says volume cutting out, crackle. So let's see what's causing that. And a side note, if you check the video uploaded, a little one, no title or anything, anything real about it, called I Hate Mystery Problems. I've got a Hot Rod Deluxe going on a looper in the kitchen waiting for it to mess up. Hopefully it will at some point, so I can figure out what's going on for the client. Fortunately, my wife's out of town, so I've got it at moderate gig level in the kitchen, so I can hear it in here, but there will be incessant E flat minor to A flat minor happening in the background of this video. So my hell is now your hell. All right, they slap these together before the adhesive has time to dry, so it ends up sticking to itself. And see how you can see daylight on the right over there? Then you can't? That's the aluminum foil on the top of the inside of the cabinet that got stuck to the front of the chassis, and it's hanging down as a result. If I force this chassis out, it's just going to tear and go everywhere. So I'm going to take a table knife to the other side and work with the back of the blade, just separate that and pull it up. You can do it with cake knives or putty knives or all kinds of things. In this case, it's not that critical. I've got plenty of space. I can use this common house table knife. Just trying to bring the foil back to the front. I'm going to start over where it's not sticking. That time I didn't end up with a knife full of adhesive. That's nice. Sometimes it's time for Goo Gone to be able to use the knife again for anything else. Got a little bit of stickum over here. I can hear it and feel it. But again, I'm using the back of the blade. Is there a better way to do this? Perhaps. Then even better if they had waited till the adhesive was dry to put these things together to begin with. All right, so it's got the original IC brand filter caps. May or may not be an issue in this. We'll take a look at whether all the jacks and stuff are tight, and we'll take a look at the solder joints on the pots. But before we do any of that, I'll make sure we don't have any obviously bad tubes, any that have lost vacuum. So far, so good. All right, let me move the camera out of the way, take a look at some stuff. Some stuff I've got to see up close, and I just can't do it with the camera here. Okay, everything visually looks okay. I've not made sure any of the jacks are tightened yet, because what if I hear crackle and stuff, and then I tighten the jacks and all the crackle goes away? I want to know that versus tightening everything and then not being able to reproduce the problem. So, it's very rare for me to have a reissue fender that does not need substantial bits of its hardware tightened. This could be the first. And while these IC caps aren't visibly leaking, again, they're not always visibly bad, but they can be bad. Let's get the reverb off, tremolo off, treble and bass at noon. Let's see what it sounds like. I just realized at the beginning of this video I said A flat minor, it's A flat major I'm hearing in the background. Duh. And it's E flat minor add 9. All that sounds okay. Let's tap on tubes. All right, nothing microphonic in the tubes. Let's see if we have crackle in the volume pot. No, everything's sounding pretty good. So the next thing it could be is a speaker cable. Let me hook that up. Okay, we got a Jensen C10R, and the quick connects seem okay on the speaker terminals. And I have the cab up on the bench with an extension cord. These plastic molded cables suck. They often develop problems. Let's see if that's the issue here. Let's see here. I want to make sure I don't have any ability to electrocute myself with the speaker plug falling down into the app. There's a nastiness to it that's not there through my speaker. But it may just be something on the bench vibrating. I will check and make sure that the hardware holding the speaker in place is tight. That sympathetic buzz with stuff on the bench. All right, let me start moving stuff around inside the amplifier itself. All right, I'm not going to subject this all to a sine wave. I'll just generate some sound from the guitar. It's all sounding pretty healthy. Now we could have a microphonic tube that doesn't show up if you tap it, but if you vibrate it, what was that? Aha! All right, we definitely have a bad tube here. And I don't remember it being that dark a minute ago. The plate of this one's is darker than the plate of this one. And this one is the one I was tapping and getting that extreme response from. So we put a different pair of 6v6s in here and set the bias and see what behavior we get. Just make sure it's not a problem with the socket before I sell the guy tubes. All right, these are the groove tubes that I took out. This one that's really dark, this is the one that was making all the noise. And maybe I should have caught that before I even got as far as testing the sound of the amp. From the other side, which is what was visible to me most easily, they looked okay. Usually they'll be much more darkening visible, but that plate is definitely darker in good light. I popped in a pair of JJ 6v6s. No microphonics or sound. I'm about to check out make sure they don't cut out. I measured the screen grid resistors, the grid stoppers, voltages, everything. They're getting the same on each side. Now, why I think these old groove tubes probably failed. With 118 volts coming out of the wall, a pair of 12 volt 6v6s would be idling at 70%, which is what the internet tells you. That's with 118 volts coming out of the wall. The voltage in Memphis goes over that a lot. So if that wall voltage was up at 125, which is not uncommon, or higher, the idle would probably be up around in the 80s. And if one of those tubes were to start to fail, it's a cascading effect. So I'm going to set the bias on this about 53%-ish. at 120 volts. When it gets the new pair of tubes that'll go home with it, which is pretty much where Fender put it. And that way it won't get too cold if the wall voltage drops, but if the wall voltage goes up, I should say when the wall voltage goes up, it won't go into nuke territory. And the other nice thing is with these, if you have the bias cooler, the tremolo sounds deeper and it's less likely to thud. So, you know, it's a win-win. So I'm going to triple check, make sure there's no cutout with these, but I expect that you'll next be seeing this amp once it has some new tubes, and I will talk to the owner about maybe letting me move the heater connections at the very least. Just one less thing to go catastrophically wrong.